It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm Sebastian Kaczynski, the Chief Sustainability Officer of SAP Switzerland, and let's exchange on chasing zero. But before we jump deep into the topic, I want to express that I really enjoy being here today because, when I look into the crowd here, most of us, we've been working in the sustainability space, and maybe even all of us, for quite some time already. And we were trying to push for the change necessary. And I guess often or at least sometimes, we felt like this guy here on the screen, whereas it's not so clear if he decided on a voluntary base to leave the room, or if he was kicked out. So it's this passion and the drive for change that is connecting us. And at the same time, I know, and I think you know it as well, when talking inside your company, when I talk to my colleagues within SAP, when I talk with our customers, with our partners, or with regulators, the momentum for sustainability has never been as big as today. So it's a really exciting time to make the change happen and to push for it together. And I think I don't have to talk that much about SAP. So I guess most of the people here in the room and the companies, they use SAP. Around 87% of the global commerce is generated by SAP customers. We are an enterprise application company, leader in ERP. I rather want to zoom into what we do when it comes down to sustainability. So sustainability is deeply integrated into our business model, into the purpose, into our vision. And there you see on the screen actually the three main pillars of our strategy. It is about business agility, then it is about value chains, resilience in value chains, and in the center you see sustainability. And we tackle sustainability from, let's say, two perspectives. On the one hand, we want to become a thought leader, a front runner, a pioneer in sustainability, and become ever more sustainable in the way we operate, in the way we do business. And I think we don't do too bad, so we've just been named for the 16th time in a row the #1 software company in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, which we are quite proud of. And we have 4 main areas internally how we tackle sustainability. That's what you see there at the bottom. I hope I'm not in the way. So the first one is, we believe we need to get much more transparency in steering options into what sustainability actually means. Also, and particularly when integrating it with finance-based decisions. So it's about holistic steering, ESG reporting, etc. The next action area, it's all about climate action and decarbonization. So we are committed to reach net zero by 2030, SBTi aligned. And then we focus on everything with regard to reducing waste and circular economy, as well as our commitment to social responsibility and reducing inequality within our own company, but also together with our partners. And as you might guess, as a software company, ethical use of AI, that's a big topic for us. But that's not enough. I said before, we tackle sustainability from 2 angles. So we also want to move sustainability from context to core. And that means we have been innovating and reinventing our solution portfolio to also help our customers become more sustainable, stay compliant, and capitalize on the market opportunities that are out there in the sustainability context. And surprise, surprise, for that, we actually use the same framework that we use internally because we all face the same challenges and have similar learnings. So we provide solutions, everything related to ESG steering and reporting, decarbonization, circular economy, social responsibility. And here I brought with me to share with you some of our key initiatives in the area of climate action. So how do we decarbonize? And don't worry, I will not talk about all these points. It's only a selection. And I'm here afterwards. We can exchange when you want to hear more about best practices, learnings, and some failures as well, which is part of the journey. I just want to pick a few areas. So starting there with the cloud transformation. So the decarbonization is fully integrated in how we are changing our business operating model. So around 81% of our emissions is caused by scope 3 downstream emissions. It's the use of our sold products. And by shifting our offerings from on-premise solutions to cloud solutions that are in the green cloud, highly efficient IT infrastructures and so on, that's a massive lever. So it's our cloud transformation. Then in the operations sector, I just want to highlight 2 points. So we have board compensation tied to sustainability KPIs, which I think is very important, and we have an internal carbon price. And when we look at the supply chain, and I believe the supply chain, that's a big topic for all of us here. So we just started a top 100 suppliers initiative, where we come to the table together and we decide and we discuss where are the main levers in the end-to-end value chain, how to reduce and decarbonize. And of course, we also do carbon investments. And I mean, here we are on the Climeworks stage, so we collaborate with Climeworks. We look into their portfolio intensively, but that's not enough. As ecosystem partners, we also sit down and we think about how can we drive co-innovation together and make 1 + 1, 3, or even more. And let's take one step further back and look more at the industry's challenges when it comes down to decarbonization. So I know lunch is very close, so let's bring more action into the room. What do you think? What percentage of companies have a comprehensive view on their greenhouse gas emissions? Any guess? 10? Did I hear 10? 10, okay. So, I have to say, I didn't pay this person, but it was perfect. And what do you think, what percentage of companies does not report on Scope 3 emissions? Roughly, huh? 60, 80. So it's around 66%. I think the number got better this year, but it's still very bad, huh? Keeping in mind that Scope 3 emissions in industry average account for, I think, 75% of all carbon emissions. And we just don't really understand them. And then the last question here. What do you think? What kind of average error rate expect the companies that report and measure their carbon emissions? And you saw I put measurements like this, huh? Because what is a measurement then? 25. Yeah, between 30 to 40%. Quite strong, huh? So actually, it was fun, but it's very disappointing, huh? And what are the reasons for that? So we lack sustainability data. We lack the transparency. And when we have data, it's mainly based on averages. And to be honest, you wouldn't trust your bank statements either if it's based on averages only, huh? And then the regulatory frameworks, well, they are not so conducive for the change, huh? But please don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of regulation in this regards. So we saw what has been happening without the regulation. We need the guardrails, and I'm happy to see them coming. The next problem we see, and I heard it from some of you before, too often sustainability is still too isolated within companies. It's not this end-to-end view. It's disconnected processes and so on. And last but not least, no one could solve the sustainability challenge alone. It's an ecosystem challenge. We can only make it happen together, and there's still way too little collaboration in the ecosystem. And so it feels like we are looking for the carbon monsters in a room where we simply don't turn on the light, and that makes it very hard. How could we solve that? So, that's a killer question now. If someone knows, maybe this gentleman here again, then I'm deeply impressed. Who is the person there on the left-hand side? So he's not alive anymore. What do you think? No one knows, I guess, huh? So I give you a hint. His name is Luca Bartolomeo de Pacioli, and he said something like, without order, there is chaos. And maybe now it rings a bell. Any keyword that you want to throw into the room? I bet some of you know it. So he's the father of accounting and bookkeeping. And he based accounting and bookkeeping on the following principles. So he said, we need to have accurate and precise data, not averages. And then he said we should be able to audit the data and the reports, meaning that we should follow common conventions and standards. And then let's not make it rocket science, let's have it as simple as possible. And so we have 1 hour to discuss it now, by lunch. No, I guess most companies here in the room, you use us, SAP, for your financial accounting. And what we are basically doing, we are copying the financial accounting approach to sustainability accounting, starting first with global warming potentials, so carbon accounting. So what does it mean? Just to give you the general idea, and we can talk afterwards. So imagine for each business transaction, as we made it happen on the financial side, we can also communicate and transact the carbon brief along the value chain, end to end. And only what is relevant for that business transaction. Meaning that we can fully integrate the sustainability performance, the carbon brief, into the way you do business. So that the decision makers in their various functions, so not only in the boardrooms, in the procurement, in HR, in product design, you understand at the point of decision making what is the impact not only on the financial side, but also on the sustainability side. So meaning that you are able to manage sustainability in sync with financials, fully integrated into your enterprise business planning, enterprise resource planning. And that is how we are working on carbon accounting. Yeah, and now you might think, oh, that's a lot of hot smoke that is coming out of Sebastian's pipe. Yeah, I heard you laughing. It's not hot smoke. So we already have a lot of the pieces of the puzzle together. Not all of them, but many pieces are together. So I said before, we have been the enterprise, or we are the enterprise resource planning company, the leader in that regards for more than 50 years already. And we are now expanding the definition of the R. The R has mainly been based on financial resources, the typical stuff, the conventional ones, as we all know. And we are expanding it by sustainability KPIs, sustainability resources, to be able to treat carbon like money. And how do we do that? So at first, we ensure that our customers, they get the ESG data foundation right. Not only for the reporting, but to take action. That's what we do with the Sustainability Control Tower. It's a new solution. Then we enable our customers, step 2, for carbon accounting and carbon calculation. And not only on the corporate level, but the product carbon footprint. And then, because it's an ecosystem challenge, we need to ensure that you get the data from your suppliers and that you are able to also exchange the data. And that is for what we use, the Sustainability Data Exchange. We are currently connecting several million companies. Around 88% of global supply chain transactions touch SAP systems. So we already have a lot of data that we can exchange. And then last but not least, we work on the transactional carbon accounting to fully integrate sustainability into your business DNA. And to be honest, I said before, we have many pieces of the puzzle together, but not all of them. So the green ledger that you see here in 4, we are still working on that. But anyways, even if we had it today and just like that, the industries, so we here in the room, we would not be ready for that. And why is that the case? Because today, transactional carbon accounting, no one of us does it. So it needs an industry shift. And we are convinced, and I know some of you, maybe a lot of you, we share the same opinion on that anyways it needs to happen. And we believe the sooner it happens, the better. And there will be companies that are the pioneers to reinvent their businesses within planetary boundaries, and companies to capitalize on the opportunities. So that's actually the main message I want to share with you. And if I can only make you remember a few points, it's we need to bring more transparency into this whole decarbonization challenge, to reduce, to remove, etc. And we can make it happen. Transactional carbon accounting, it's not only vision, it's possible. But it's only possible if we team up as ecosystem players and if we exchange much more openly about it, about the problems that we have, about solution approaches, and about learnings. So let's make it happen. Thank you.
Questions?
So you want me to explain the financial accounting slide?
Exactly. Well, you're not quite finished. We have a couple of questions, and since they showed up on my phone, I have to ask them, and you have to answer them. The first is, you mentioned that SAP has an internal carbon price. I guess got somebody's attention. Can you please tell us what it is, and or explain how it may have contributed to your carbon removal journey so far.
Yeah. So we are working on the internal carbon price on several angles. So we are trying to bring it down to much more details in the way we operate. Currently, we have it mainly for business travels. Yeah. I hope I could respond.
Thank you. One more question came in that's a little bit broader. How do corporate actors factor into government policymaking and programs on carbon removal? Do you see government policy as a factor that makes you or other companies more or less likely to act? Or do governments need to lead the crowd and push further action from the private sector? How do you see that interplay?
Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you. So I believe we need to collaborate much more strongly together. And I remember around 1 year ago, I was on a panel with a government representative here in Switzerland, and then the person said, we leave it all to the companies and it's freedom and so on. But it doesn't work. We need to have the guardrails, but the people who define the guardrails, they also need to understand better the art of the possible. And that only happens in a proper dialogue. I'm a big fan of more guardrails in that domain, because basically we saw what happened without the guardrails. That's one of the reasons why we're here, because externalities were just not priced in. We need to have a structure for that, common standards and so on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you later.